All right, today I'm going to talk about free weights versus machines. And this has kind of always been, what's better, free weights or machines? And even back in the day, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Mike Mincer had this constant feud over what was better. You know, Arnold was for the free weights, Mike Mincer was for the machines, Nautilus. And, when I was young, I preferred free weights, all free weights, 100% free weights. And as I became older and more educated, I've kind of leaned more towards machines. But basically what I'm gonna discuss is, the plus and minuses of both, because there's benefits to both and there's negatives to both. So you can use both and incorporate to come up with the best scenario. I don't really believe there's one way or the other way. The best way is to incorporate both of them together and come up with the best scenario that fits your physique and your training style. 3 exercises I like to talk about is dumbbell rows versus hammer strength machine rows. And it's the exact same exercise, same movement. Now basically with a dumbbell row, you have the freedom to move the dumbbell wherever you choose to get that perfect stretch, that perfect squeeze, that perfect contraction. And obviously with the machines, you don't have that freedom. You're locked in to a specific movement. You can't move it and get that perfect feeling. So in my opinion, the dumbbells on that scenario is the better choice. Machines, I can usually always get a better squeeze and a better contraction because I have more control. I don't have to worry about balancing, keeping my body in a certain position. It's just everything's still and I'm just squeezing and concentrating and stretching. So, they both have their pluses and minuses. Another exercise I like to talk about is cable crossovers versus dumbbell flies. Now, dumbbell flies is the old, what everyone did back in the day. They didn't even mess with cables. Now, dumbbell flies, I feel, is better for mass, and it's better for developing a lot more mass and also using the different muscles you have to use to balance the weight. Now, the only problem is at the top of the movement, there's no resistance. So you have to squeeze the muscle all on your own because the weight is no longer pulling resistance back. It's actually pulling down towards your chest. So at the top of the movement, you can either just do 3/4 flies or come up and really squeeze it yourself. But you're not gonna get the same contraction and same squeeze you are with the cable crossovers because there's constant resistance all the way to here, all the way to here, and all the way to here. It's constantly pulling. So there's constant resistance. So therefore, I have to say, I give it to the cable crossovers. I get a much better squeeze, much better stretch, and I can really just isolate that muscle and get a good pump. My third exercise I would like to talk about is dumbbell curls versus machine curls. Now, what I was talking about as far as the same with dumbbell curls, depending on how you do it, you can lose resistance at the top. Some people, if you come up and your elbow comes up too high, you no longer have the dumbbell pulling against you, it's coming this way. So it's letting the bicep relax. Now, if the elbow's down, then you have constant tension on the bicep. So depending on your form and how you're executing the exercise is basically gonna determine whether you have constant tension. So if you're doing the exercise correct, You're gonna keep constant tension on the bicep. Therefore, dumbbell curls are awesome. And the dumbbell curls, you can actually supinate the wrist, which is something you can't do with machines. As you come up, you twist the wrist out, pinky comes up, and that's getting a deep contraction in the bicep, which you cannot do with machines. So, dumbbell curls are definitely superior to cable curls. And that's just my 2 cents. Arnold said it in Pumping Iron. He explained supination. He explained why he preferred dumbbell curls. And I have to say that he was right. And to this day and age, it still stands true that dumbbells are superior if you're doing correct form. And that's the question, because very few people are doing correct form these days. And that's the most important thing. It's all about making the muscle work hard, not worrying about the weight you're doing. A 20-pound dumbbell can feel as heavy as an 80-pound dumbbell if you're making it hard. You have to make it hard. You have to go slow. You have to squeeze. You have to twist. You have to contract. If you're just heaving an 80-pound dumbbell, well, you're not getting that squeeze. You're not getting that contraction. And you are impressing everyone around you, but you're not developing the muscle to its full potential. So doing it correct is most important. So as far as free weights versus machines, I know a lot of people out there, they ego lift, and when they're in the gym, they're gonna go right to the bench press. So it's all about ego, it's all about how much you bench press. And very few people will go over to the machine press. But when it's all said and done, it basically just depends on how you look. That's what we're here for. We're here to look good, we're not here to impress people. Got no one to impress in the gym, you're just here to get in the best shape you can. So anyway, that's my opinion, and I hope it helps you guys out. Genetics versus drugs in the sport of bodybuilding. Actually, let's talk about this in sports, period. What is more important, would you say? What plays a better role? The genetics of the athlete or the amount of drugs they take? Now, to me, it's obvious. To me, genetics is far superior than any drug you could ever take. We could just look at basketball players, for instance. Now, if you're 5'2" in high school, what are your chances to be a professional basketball player? You could take all the drugs in the world, and I hate to say it, you're probably not going to become a pro basketball player. Now, if you're genetically gifted and you're 7'4", and you're thin and you're athletic and you can jump, guess what? You have a very good chance to become a professional basketball player. Well, it's the same in bodybuilding. Why wouldn't it be? Some people are born with better genetics. The aesthetics of the body, the muscles, the roundness, the fullness, the ability to put on muscle is far superior to other people. Now, if you are one of these gifted people that have incredible genetics, you can go very far in the sport of bodybuilding. Now, if you are someone who, was dealt a shitty hand, let's say, as far as genetics, doesn't matter what drugs, how many drugs you take, you're not going to become a professional bodybuilder, let alone stand on Olympia's stage. People give drugs way too much credit, and the genetics is the most important aspect when it comes to bodybuilding. A lot of people don't realize what bodybuilding really entails. It's not about how big you are. There's a lot of guys that weigh 350. There's guys that are 300 pounds, but these guys couldn't win a bodybuilding show if their life depended on it. And there's guys that, weigh 180 that look phenomenal because it's the structure of the body. It's an illusion. It's the small joints, the full muscle bellies, so on and so forth. And you can't change your genetics. For instance, if you have high calves, you're never gonna have full low calves. No matter what drugs you take, no matter what you do, no matter how you train, you're never ever gonna have big calves. There's nothing you can do to change that. If you're genetically gifted with long, full calves, you're gonna have incredible calves. All you have to do is train them. So I'm just trying to set that record straight that, drugs don't play as important role as people like to believe. Now, people with poor genetics, that's their way out of saying this person looks this good because of this. No, they were born with superior genetics and they work hard. Now, working hard is another aspect. If you have great genetics and you're not willing to work hard, then you might not get as far either. It takes both. But I have to say genetics is very important. If you don't have the genetics to begin with, it's very rare you're gonna make it to that top Olympia stage level physique. Now you can become successful, you can do good, and you can become the best that you can be. And I'm not trying to sway people away from not trying to conquer their goals and accomplish their dreams, but I'm just making a point that if you don't have the genetics, the drugs are not gonna change that. And to me, it's very simple. You think about any sport there is, football. If this guy can run a 4.3 40, he's got fucking genetics up the yin yang. Now, another guy runs a 5.3 40. I don't care what drugs you give him. He will never run a 4.3 40 ever, ever, ever. He just wasn't given that gift, and nothing's gonna change that. And there's guys, Bo Jackson, this guy said straight up to the coach, I don't need to come to practice. Why do I need to practice running? I'm the fastest runner there is in all of football. Why do I need to practice to run? I don't need to practice. I'm better than everybody. And it's like, he kind of has a point. Why does he need to practice? There is nobody as fast as him. So genetics is very important. And I just want to set that record straight and get it out of people's heads about this guy's so good because of drugs. And look at the whole picture and realize that genetics is very important and hard work is very important. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And genetics alone won't get you anywhere. You're gonna have to put work in also. The two combined makes a true champion. So anyway, I hope I set that straight. Today we need to talk about overtraining. And my personal opinion is overtraining is a word for the weak. And when I say that, let's talk about Arnold. Arnold trained 3 hours a day, twice a day, 6 days a week. Is there any professional bodybuilder out there right now training that hard? The answer is no. Why? We have better supplements nowadays. Maybe we don't have to train as hard. I don't know, give me the reason. I believe that hard work is what pays off in anything you do in life. And someone telling me like, okay, you're done working out, you've done too much, you need to go home. That doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. That makes no sense at all. And people will obviously argue this point, and those are the people that are weak and they want to have the excuse to be able to leave 45 minutes or an hour after getting to the gym and feeling good about themselves, like I did exactly what I was supposed to do. I trained an hour. Anything more than that would have been too much, and they feel good about themselves. Well, guess what? That's not enough. So depending on how far you want to take this and how far you want to go, depends on how much work you want to put into it. And basically, Arnold trains 6 hours a day. I train 3 or 4 hours a day, and I could train more, but obviously I'm busy, I work, things going on. It's hard to get that much time in, but I just don't like to hear people say that you could do too much, because you cannot do too much. You can always do more. Whatever it is you're doing in life, you can always do more. There's no such thing as too much. So get that weak link out of your head and think positive and realize you can always do more. Now, basketball players don't diet. Professional basketball players, these are some of the best athletes in the world. They don't diet. Why don't they diet? Because they don't have to, because they work their asses off. They burn so many calories they can eat whatever they want. Gymnasts, they don't diet. Why? They eat McDonald's. How can they get away with that? Because they work their asses off. Now, if they only trained 45 minutes or an hour a day, they would have to diet. They would have to eat tilapia and rice 24 hours a day because they're not burning enough calories. Now, if you worked out 6 hours a day and you ate whatever you wanted, guess what? You would still look amazing because you're burning all those calories. So my main point today is just to explain to people that there is no such thing as overtraining. You can always do more. And diet is not 80% of looking good. It's hard work. It's working out in the gym. It's working out outside. It's cardio. It's everything combined. And I just wanted to set that straight, that there is no such thing as overtraining. And if you believe that, then you are weak-minded and you might need to think about changing your mindset. Because again, we can always do more. Is it possible to gain 10 pounds of muscle in a month? That's the question I'm asking you. Of course it's possible. Anything's possible. If you believe you can do it, then you can definitely do it. You have to believe to achieve. Now, a lot of people out there right now, this very second might be saying, oh, that's impossible. Well, you're the people that can't do it, won't do it, will never do it, because you already have a negative mindset and you're already thinking negative before you even give it a chance. So, this is very possible, and I'm gonna explain to you how you can easily gain 10 pounds of muscle in a month. I could gain 10 pounds of muscle in probably 2 or 3 weeks, but I've been bigger, so for me it's much easier to put muscle on that I've already had. Now, for people to put new, fresh muscle on, obviously it's hard. It takes a long time, and it takes years and years to put on solid, real, true muscle, not water retention and so forth. But it is possible, and I'm gonna explain how. Now, I would say the average bodybuilder, person wanting to be a bodybuilder, is probably taking in 5 to 6 meals a day, and I would say working out 45 minutes to an hour and a half a day. Now, is that enough? Ask yourself, is that enough? I say, no, it's not enough. It's not even close to enough. Now, what you get out of this is what you put into it. The more you put into it, the more you're gonna get out of it. So if you're working out 3 hours a day for a year straight and eating 12 meals a day, or you're working out for an hour a day, eating 5 meals a day, what regimen do you think is gonna cause you to get more gains? Obviously, eating 10, 12 meals a day, working out 3 hours a day. That's the better scenario. You can always do more, always. Don't have this negative mindset. Don't believe you're doing everything you can. So from this day forward, start today, start tomorrow, whatever it is, let's up your meal intake. If you're taking in 5 meals a day, let's bump it to 6 tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, 6 meals a day. If you're working out an hour and a half, let's work out an hour and 45 minutes tomorrow. 6 meals, an hour and 45 minutes. Do that for 3 or 4 days, bump the meals up to 7. 7 meals a day, working out 2 hours a day. Now, yes, your body can handle this. Yes, your body can repair from this. More food and more training is the better scenario. More. And that goes with everything in life. The more you put into it, the more you get out of it. I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to say this, but a lot of people don't get it. They say, no, you're overtraining. No, you eat too much, you're gonna get fat. No, you're not. You just have to put in the necessary work at the gym to burn those calories off and build that muscle. The more muscle you have, the more calories you're gonna build. So again, whatever you're doing, let's up the ante. Why not? You're not getting the results you want. Let's try harder. Let's do more. We can always do more. Eventually, 3 or 4 weeks from now, you're up to 10 meals a day, working out 3 hours a day. Then you're gonna start seeing some serious results. And this is what I'm talking about. You need to do more. That's the key. I tell people every day I work out 3 hours. Some people don't believe me. Some people say I overtrain. Well, those are the weak-minded people. And then other people are like, yeah, Rich, 3 hours a day. Well, those are the positive people that are gonna get results and are gonna become something in life. They have a positive mentality and they think positive. And hopefully we can get everyone out there to think positive and realize that there is no end to what you can get in life. You can keep pushing and keep working and you can achieve all your goals and all your dreams. So again, it's easy. 10 pounds in a month, no problem. Just more food, more working out, and you can even add some cardio in there. I know it's hard nowadays. We work, we do this, we have kids, we have whatever, but you know what? It's possible. Make it possible. Make it happen. So let's put 10 pounds of muscle on in a month. Let's do this. I'm in. I can do it. Can you do it? Let's do it. Training frequency. People are always asking me how often they should train, how long they should train for, etc. And this question is hard to answer because I don't know much about you. So in order to answer that question, I need to know a little more information about the individual. But what I can tell you is obviously beginner to advanced is a huge difference in how often and how much you can train. Young people that are watching my videos and they hear me say, yeah, I train 3 hours a day. Obviously, they can't go to the gym and start training 3 hours a day when they haven't trained a day in their life. That's not gonna work, and that is gonna be too much for them. So what you need to do is you need to start off training, maybe 3 times a week, 30, 45 minutes a day. But in your head, you realize that eventually it's gonna be 3 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. But you slowly have to build up to that. And you have to be taking in the right amount of nutrition and calories in order to train 3 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week. So everything has to fit into its place. If you're doing one and not the other, it's gonna be counterproductive. If you're training 3 hours a day with weights and you're not eating enough calories, you're not feeding the body, the muscles aren't gonna grow. So it's very important that you're hitting all aspects. So beginners out there, don't try to be Rich Piana the very next day you go to the gym. It's gonna take time. So my suggestion is 3-4 days a week, 30 to 45 minutes a day. After a couple weeks, bump it up to 4 times a week, 5 times a week, and then maybe start bumping up the workout times. I would say within a year or two, no problem. You can be hitting 3 hours a day, 7 days a week, and getting great results. As long as you're keeping up the calories, you're eating enough to grow from 3 hours of training. And I have to say, most people, that's where they lack. They lack in the eating department. They don't eat enough food to grow from their workouts. The muscles grow when we rest, not when we train. A lot of people have this conception that they're growing in the gym. You're not growing in the gym. You get a pump, your muscles fill up with blood, but you're not actually growing muscle tissue. That's when you're sleeping, when you're resting, when you're away from the gym, that's when you're growing. So that's when you need to eat the most. Now, another misconception, the most important meal of the day is definitely breakfast and definitely right before you go to bed. Now, most people will say, never eat right before you go to bed. Well, if you're trying to build muscle, that's the most important time to eat because your body grows when you sleep. That's when your body's growing. So you want to eat right before you go to bed. So these are just tips to help people get where they want to be. And as far as frequency of training, you have to find that out for yourself. But like I said, the goal inevitably is training every day. Make it part of your life. It's like brushing your teeth. You wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth every single morning, right? You don't brush your teeth 2 or 3 times a week. You brush them every morning. Why? Because it's necessary. Because that's what it takes to have a clean mouth and have white, shiny teeth. So anyway, let's do this. 7 days a week, 3 hours a day. Let's kill it.